Elon Musk was walking down the street lost in thought. It had been a long day filled with meetings, decisions, and discussions about the future of technology. The city was busy as usual, with people rushing past him, each lost in their own world. Among them sat a homeless man on the sidewalk wrapped in an old tattered jacket. He had a small sign in front of him that read, "Hungry. Anything helps." The man had been sitting there for hours, watching people pass by without a second glance. He had seen all kinds of people, some who ignored him completely, some who threw him a few coins, and others who avoided eye contact altogether. But when he saw Elon, something about him seemed different. He didn't know who he was, but there was something familiar about him. He hesitated for a moment, then decided to speak up. "Hey, sir," the beggar said, his voice rough from the cold air. "Can I ask you something?" Elon stopped and turned toward him. He wasn't expecting anyone to speak to him, especially not a homeless man. But something about the way the man asked caught his attention. He nodded. "Go ahead," he said. The man didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for food. Instead, he asked something completely unexpected. "How did you become rich?" Elon raised an eyebrow. He had been asked many things in his life, but this question, coming from a homeless man, was different. It wasn't just curiosity, it was a deeper question, one filled with desperation, hope, and maybe even a hint of frustration. He thought for a moment before responding. "I took risks," he said simply, "and I failed a lot." The beggar looked at him, waiting for more. "I started businesses and many of them didn't work out, but I kept going. The difference between people who succeed and those who don't isn't just money, it's persistence. You have to keep trying, even when things look impossible." The beggar listened intently. He had always thought that rich people were just lucky or born into wealth. But hearing this from someone standing in front of him made him think differently. "So what do you do?" the beggar asked. Elon smiled slightly. "I build things. I solve problems. I try to make the world better." The beggar nodded slowly. "I don't have anything to build. I don't have money to start anything. What am I supposed to do?" Elon looked around. He saw the people walking by, the tall buildings, the street vendors selling food, and the bright billboards advertising luxury items. He then looked back at the man sitting on the sidewalk. "What do you have?" Elon asked. The beggar frowned. "Nothing." "That's not true," Elon said. "You have time, you have a mind, and you have a question that most people never ask." The beggar thought about that for a moment. He had never looked at it that way. He had always believed he had nothing, but now he was starting to wonder if that was really true. Elon continued. "Most people never stop to ask how to succeed. They assume they can't, so they don't even try. But you asked. That's the first step." The beggar sighed. "But asking doesn't change anything. I still have no way out." Elon reached into his pocket and pulled out a small notepad and a pen. He handed them to the man. "Write down 5 ideas, any ideas. It doesn't matter how crazy they are. Just write them down." The beggar hesitated but took the notepad. "And then what?" "Tomorrow, write 5 more. And the day after that, do it again. Ideas are like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get." The beggar looked at the notepad in his hands. It seemed like such a small thing, but for some reason it felt important. Elon stood up. "No one is going to change your life for you. You have to do it yourself. But it starts with how you think." The beggar nodded slowly. He wasn't sure if writing down ideas would change anything, but for the first time in a long time, he felt like he had something to do. As Elon walked away, people around them who had overheard the conversation whispered among themselves. Some pulled out their phones to take notes. Others simply walked away, deep in thought. The beggar sat there, staring at the blank page in front of him. Then, for the first time in years, he picked up a pen and started writing. Elon Musk looked at the beggar and didn't respond immediately. Instead of offering money or dismissing him, Musk took a moment to think. Then he spoke in a calm yet firm voice. "Let me ask you something first. If I give you $1 million right now, what would you do with it? The beggar was taken aback. He hadn't expected a question in return. He hesitated for a moment, then replied, "I would buy a house, get some good food, and live comfortably." Musk nodded. "And after that?" The beggar thought for a while. "Maybe travel a little, enjoy life, and finally have peace." Musk smiled slightly and said, "That's exactly why you're still where you are." The beggar frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" Musk leaned in slightly and explained, "Most people think money is the solution to their problems, but money itself isn't what makes someone successful. It's the mindset. If I gave you $1 million today, you would spend it, and in a few years, you'd be back where you started, because you're thinking about what you can buy, not how you can create more value." The beggar's eyes widened. He had never looked at it that way. Musk continued, "I wasn't always rich. There were times I had to sleep in my office. I almost went bankrupt multiple times, but I kept moving forward. I failed, but I learned from those failures. The difference between the rich and the poor isn't just money, it's how they see opportunities." The beggar lowered his gaze, reflecting on his own life. He had spent years asking for help, but had never thought about changing his approach. Musk then said, "If you want to change your life, don't wait for luck or a handout. Start with something small, learn a skill, find a way to offer value to others, and build from there." The beggar nodded slowly. "So, you're saying I should stop begging and start doing something instead?" Musk smiled. "Exactly. And the first step is believing that you can." With that, Musk walked away, leaving the beggar deep in thought. For the first time in years, he felt something he hadn't felt before: hope. Not because he had received money, but because he had received something far more valuable: a new perspective. Elon Musk looked at the man standing before him. The beggar had nothing, no home, no job, and no hope. But there was something in his eyes, a curiosity, a hunger for more than just money. Most people who walked by saw a man in rags, holding out his hand for spare change. Musk saw potential. Instead of pulling out his wallet, Musk asked, "If I gave you money right now, what would you do with it?" The beggar thought for a moment. "I'd buy food, get a place to sleep, maybe some clean clothes," he said honestly. Musk nodded. "And then what?" The beggar hesitated. "I don't know. Try to survive, I guess." Musk took a deep breath. "That's the problem with just giving money. It solves today's problem, but what about tomorrow? Next week? Next year?" The beggar frowned. "I don't have many options." Musk crossed his arms. "What if I gave you something better than money?" The beggar raised an eyebrow. "What could be better than money when you have nothing?" Musk smiled. "An opportunity." The people around them had been watching the exchange, but now they leaned in closer. What was he going to say? Musk continued, "You see, I wasn't born rich. I started from scratch. I worked hard, failed many times, and kept going. If I give you $1,000 today, it might help for a little while. But if I show you how to make $1,000, you'll never have to beg again." The beggar was silent. No one had ever spoken to him like this before. "I'm giving you a choice," Musk said. "I can hand you some money right now, or I can give you a job, teach you something valuable, and help you get back on your feet. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it." The crowd murmured. Some thought Musk was being unfair. Why not just give the man some cash? Others realized what he was really offering: a way out of the cycle of poverty. The beggar looked down at his worn-out shoes. He had been surviving day by day for so long, never thinking about the future. Could he really change his life? Musk's voice was firm but kind. "The choice is yours." The beggar swallowed hard. "I want the opportunity." A small smile crossed Musk's face. "Good. Meet me tomorrow at 9 a.m. Be ready to work." The crowd was stunned. No one expected this. Most wealthy people would have either ignored the beggar or given him some money and walked away. Musk had done something different. He had given him a chance. And that chance was worth more than $1 million. Elon Musk's conversation with the beggar spread across social media within hours. People from all over the world reacted to the unusual exchange. Some praised Musk for his wisdom, while others debated whether his approach was fair. Many believed that simply giving the man money would have been the kind thing to do. Others, however, argued that Musk's words carried a much deeper lesson, one that could inspire millions. News outlets picked up the story, and soon everyone was talking about it. Entrepreneurs admired Musk's perspective, saying that true wealth is not just about having money, but about knowing how to create it. Motivational speakers dissected his words, highlighting how they reflected the mindset of success. Social media platforms were flooded with discussions about whether opportunity was indeed more valuable than immediate help. Meanwhile, the beggar's life was already beginning to change. After accepting Musk's offer, he arrived at the designated location early the next morning. He was given a simple task: sorting and organizing supplies at one of Musk's companies. It was not glamorous work, but it was honest, and for the first time in years he felt like he had a purpose. Over the next few weeks, he continued working diligently. He showed up every day, eager to learn and improve. The environment was different from what he had ever experienced before. He was surrounded by people who thought big, who worked toward ambitious goals, and who never let obstacles define them. Slowly, he started absorbing that mindset. He began reading books on entrepreneurship, listening to conversations between employees, and asking questions whenever he had the chance. The story of his transformation continued to spread. People admired his determination, and his progress became a symbol of hope. A well-known journalist tracked him down for an interview, asking about his experience working for Musk. His response was simple, yet powerful. "I used to believe that my life would never change, but one conversation made me realize that my future was in my hands. I just needed someone to remind me." His journey caught the attention of other successful individuals who reached out to offer mentorship and guidance. Business leaders invited him to seminars, motivational speakers featured his story in their talks, and ordinary people found inspiration in his willingness to take a chance. For many, he became proof that no matter how difficult life gets, there is always a way forward. Musk himself was asked about the incident during a conference. A reporter questioned whether he truly believed that one opportunity could change someone's entire life. Musk's response was direct. "Opportunity alone isn't enough, it has to be met with effort. I gave him a choice, but he was the one who decided to take it. That's what made the difference." The beggar, once invisible to society, was now a symbol of transformation. His story was shared in classrooms, workplaces, and community centers. Teachers used it to inspire students, and parents told it to their children as a lesson in resilience and ambition. People started seeing their own struggles differently, realizing that sometimes the right mindset could turn challenges into stepping stones. Months later, the beggar, now no longer a beggar, stood on a stage, addressing an audience of aspiring entrepreneurs. He shared his story not as someone seeking sympathy, but as someone who had witnessed firsthand how a single decision could alter the course of a life. He encouraged people to believe in their potential and to take risks when opportunities presented themselves. His journey was not just about personal success. It sparked a conversation about how society views poverty and struggle. Many organizations began reconsidering how they help those in need. Instead of just providing temporary relief, they started focusing on sustainable solutions, offering education, job training, and mentorship to those willing to take a step forward. The world had learned an important lesson. True change does not come from handouts alone, but from empowering individuals to change their own lives. One question, one conversation, and one decision had started a ripple effect that reached far beyond what anyone could have imagined.